the interface first. On the left, you have here the media pool mostly. I'm saying mostly because you have the option here to turn into, to look into the transitions. You have the text, text titles, and then you've got your effects. But please resist the temptation to start overloading your timeline with all sorts of transitions and effects and stuff, because the effects are meant to be done in Fusion. Of course, you can try an effect to get a flavor of where you want to, the direction you're going. Yeah, this is what we had in mind. Good. Okay, it's going to work, but we'll do it properly in the Fusion page. Good. So you can do something really quickly, an assembly. You need to have your first assembly because this is the first thing you want to do. Always, the first thing in edit is the assembly. Okay? The assembly is quite important. And you do it bit by bit, hopefully. I mean, you could do it at the end, but I recommend bit by bit, because when you're on set, you start getting dailies and rushes. Well, there is a reason why they are called dailies, because they're every day. So you bring in stuff in your media pool every day, and you find them back here. And because you're bringing stuff, you're building your assembly over time. This is going to be really helpful if you say, we have a script of 90 pages. Well, I'll just give an example. We're expecting this film to be roughly about 1 hour and a half. And if you're midway the film and you see that you're already at 1 hour, okay, now we think there's something wrong with the duration or something. So this is why the dailies help you a lot, not just this reason, but many reasons why you need always every day to bring in the dailies and the rushes. Cool. Okay. And to build your assembly over time. And that happens where? In the cut page. Don't look at the edit page or any other page. Okay. Just the cut page. So that's your first thing, the assembly. So we're going to have here our media pools, whatever you have imported in the media pool, you're going to find it back in the cut page. Okay. And you can scroll, because when you start importing dailies and rushes, you'll end up with hundreds of files, hopefully, because it means you're working on a bigger project. Hundreds of files are going to be a little bit difficult to find the right place and stuff. We want you to move faster. So what does Blackmagic Design offer? It offers here a tree view, which even if you have hundreds of files and folders stuff, it gives you the tree view of the file, of the folders. So it goes straight to the folders. Why are we talking about folders? Because you have already done your homework in the media page. Hold on a moment. Let me clarify something. When I said fast, I never meant breaking the best practices, because you need to do your proper work in the media page. Yes, you can, during the media ingestion and cloning and stuff, you bring in stuff, you organize them with the metadata, you can do it fast, but you do it every day anyway, right? That's why you build up a robust organization in your media, which you are going to see now. It's paying off. Now it's going to pay off. You just click here and you find your folders and you go straight to where you want to go. Good. Yes, there are two icons here, and I really wish I did not have to explain them, and I don't want to explain them because it's going to make people lazy. But anyway, I have to do it anyway. Okay, listen, this is import media, and I don't want you to import your media here. And this is import folder, which is basically import media folder. You can do it, but please don't. Okay, so it's there for you if you want to just check something. You can import, but please import your media in here and do your proper metadata stuff and keywords and things, because that's how you get there faster. Okay, so it's by organizing your stuff in the media page. Good. Okay, let's forget about these two. Let's assume we don't even have them. Good. Okay, you can view your footage with thumbnails, with this long thing in here. You can also have the list page, and you can search them, and you can sort. And I really like the thinking behind this page. Look at this. You only have 4 things to sort. Sort media by time code, camera, duration, clip name. At this stage, that's all you have. That's all you need. Because you are in a rush, these are the most important things. Clip name is going to be mostly the thing. Time code if you're working with the time code. Camera if you're just working on cameras and you brought the stuff and it wasn't by this camera. If you've got a B-roll camera and you're doing documentary or whatever, you have only 4. But look at this. I will be taking you from back and forth to the edit page from time to time to show the difference. Because when I say fast, I really want you to see what I mean by fast. So look at this. This is sorting your media pool in the edit page. It's a huge list and you get to use it. Yes, fine. But we think that you're a little bit in a hurry. So we think that this is enough for you. That's what Blackmagic Design is saying. And I think it's brilliant. Fine. It's keeping it really simple. Right. Okay. So this is about this left part. I am going to come back to this one when we create our timeline and work on our assembly. I'll be using the word assembly all the time with the cut page because that's what you're doing here. When we move to the edit, we can work on the final cut as terminology and stuff. But for now, we're talking assembly. We want this mindset to be to have the right mindset. On the right here, you have your monitor. We're expecting to have one. So look at this. In the edit page, you find two monitors, the source monitor and the timeline monitor. In the cut page, because it's meant to be fast, it is one monitor and it is behaving as a source monitor. When you have something in the source selected, let's go to NASA and select this one. Then it behaves as a source monitor. It is activated here, but then if you drag and drop it and create a timeline, then it becomes a timeline monitor. Okay, it's something that is quite simple. Let's move to delete the timeline. Let's move to this fellow here in the middle, source tape. What is this? When you click on this, it then puts everything that you have in the media pool selected folder. Not everything in the media pool. I have this folder selected. It will put everything in there. If I have, say, another one selected, let's go here and get the fighter jet stuff, then it will get 1, 2, 3 clips. 1, 2, 3 clips. Okay, so it will select everything you have in your selected folder in the media pool, and it's going to put it in there as one long, not really timeline, but it's like assembling them. Okay, let's just put it next to each other in the order they are in the folder. They've been sorted in a particular order, so the way you see them here, that's exactly the order. That's number 1, that's number 1. Number 2 is going to be this number 2, right? Number 3 is going to be this one. So this is the order. Number 4, this one. You get the point. Okay, nice. Now, why do we have this one? People get overexcited about this feature of fast preview, which is down here. You have a fast preview and I think, yeah, actually it's quite great. It helps you a lot if you click on it. Yes, that's true. If you click on it, you get to play the short clips at normal speed, and the kind of longer clips go a bit faster. It's like a little bit equalizing, not really giving them equal time, but it's making the longer ones faster. So this is the purpose of this thing. Cool. I know it's a cool feature, but I do expect you to know your project. You've been working on the dailies and rushes. You've been importing stuff, so you know your footage. You can use it. It's there for you, but I wouldn't overrate it and say, yeah, it's the greatest feature ever that has been. No, it is there for you if you want to. Yes, I understand if somebody, for example, if you get a client, like you get a project from a client that has been finished, you have not, for whatever reason, you have not been involved from the beginning, and that should not be the case. You should be involved from the beginning, from the early days of shooting, so that you do the media ingestion of the dailies and rushes. Say, for example, their editor has messed up or something happened to him, whatever, then they need a backup editor to do the work, fine. You are going to need this feature to discover the project. So it is there for you. Cool. Okay, now, the next bit is going to be to create a timeline, because what I need you to do is to understand some of the features that we have in here, okay, and some more features that we have in here and in here. So before I go any further, to the right here, let's create a timeline. What we can do is simply drag and drop, okay? What you can do is just bring in the whole thing. If it's the right sequence, just boom, drag and drop, and there you have it in exactly the same sequence as it is sorted in the folder. That's one way of doing things. Let me delete this timeline again. Just keep deleting them and show you how to create them. Nice. Let's assume that the first thing we're going to start with is when the NASA people are getting trained, and I think it's going to be mostly this one. No, there's one that is even, yeah, this one further. But let's say this one is the first one, okay? Good. If this is the first and you are working on your assembly and you don't have them ordered in the folder in the right order, you know, okay, this is going to be the first, this is the second, this is the third, and this is the fourth, and they're not in the right order, you just click, and then this is your magic moment. This is the assembly. This is the append to end, which you're going to find back in the edit page here. When you drag and drop something, you find append to end. This is your, when we used to have only Davinci 15 and without the cut page, and this is how we would make the assembly. We start really fast, just bring in all the footage and then go straight append to end, append to end, append to end. You go like you bulldozer through all the media with append to end. Well, it's not any different here. You just have it closer to you here. So you just go append to end. Now, why did I skip this one? It's a smart insert, okay? It's it comes later, okay? Because your assembly is built bit by bit. You're not going to build okay, it's a building. You do first the basement, and then the ground floor, and then the first floor, and then the second floor. You're not going to jump and then do the 7th floor, and then, oh, let's come back and do the 6th floor. It's a best practice professional behavior of starting first. You don't jump, yeah, let's go to that fun scene. That's great. Yeah, let's start with it first. What do you mean let's start with it first? The film has a sequence. So that's what we start with. And there comes, why am I talking about this whole thing of getting the right behavior? Is the smart insert is like once you want to insert something between two clips, it is going to do it in a smart way. And I'll show you how to do that. But your first thing, and I really hope that Blackmagic Design moves this one. Can I move it? I don't think I can move it. Move this one first, because this is the first thing you're going to use for many days. For many days during shooting, that's the only thing you're going to be using. The only thing. But wait, we are not going to bring the footage as is, because during filming, you're going to be using a clapperboard. And the clapperboard is going to be visible in the video. You're not going to create the assembly with the clapperboards in there. So it's not just a matter of coming here and say, okay, yeah, this is, where was it, by the way? This one. These ones don't have any clapperboard. These are stock footage. But if you have a clapperboard, I would expect that you would, that you have a clapperboard in the video. What you do is then you create an in point and an out point. So you double click on this and then say, or you want to start from somewhere. Then you go to where you want to start. I don't like this foreground here a lot, maybe just a bit here. So, okay, fine. Then I create my in point so that when I use any one of these, when I'm importing it into the timeline, it comes just as between the in point and the out point. How do we create the in point and the out point? Very simple. I for the input, for the in point, and O for the out point. So you type I. When you do that, you get the in point. You go get a bit closer. Well, just for fun, I'd like to have the full footage, but just because I need to demonstrate the out point, I'm going to stop it here. And let's say O. Then this is your in point and out point. Oops, let's say, oh, actually, I didn't mean that. It needs to be a bit earlier. Fine, you can change that. You have these handles here, you can push. And the moment you touch the handles, a whole thing shows up. And I think, okay, we wanted to give you the in point and out point really fast. We've done that. Now that you want to tweak them, we give you more functionality. So you get now, these are the frames that are included, and these are the frames that are not included. So you can move it like this, or you can move it like this from here, okay? Or you can move it with these things as well, okay? You can move it this one as well. Okay, so you have 3 ways of doing it. The handles, this stuff, and this stuff over here, okay? This is frame by frame, and it shows you, when you click on the in, this is now what's included, and this is what's before. When you click on the out, this is what's included, and this is what is not included. Cool? Clear? And obviously, it's going to show you the last frame of what's included and the first frame of what is not. Good. Now, enough talking about the in and out point. It's quite, it's necessary, but it's good to know actually how to do it. Good. Let's do it like this. And then let's say, let's move it now. Click on this and come to append to end. And there you go. What happened? I'm going to have to move to another part, which is a timeline, to explain to you what happens before I go back and explain the other things in here and the other things in here, okay? Because these things really relate to the timeline. Okay, what do I have now? I have a timeline, yes, but hold on a moment. This is different than what you are used to, because this is meant to be extremely fast. The thingy that you see in here, this small one, this is your real timeline. And at any moment in time, you will see all the media the whole timeline zoomed out completely. Everything will be in here. Whatever you include, everything will be in here. There's no scrolling back and forth to find the footage. Everything is in the screen. Okay, so why do I have this one here? So why do I not see the image? The image you see down here. This is meant to behave as a zoomed out, zoomed in. Sorry, this first one is a zoomed out. This is the zoomed in timeline. And once you start, if you move here, I can move the playhead, okay? If I want, there's another behavior here. If I want to move the playhead here, I'm not able to. So why? Why is that? Well, because Blackmagic Design is trying to have a behavior such that if you want to use the playhead, come up here, please. If you don't, if you want to look at frames, then you scroll the timeline. The playhead stays fixed. Do you have to do this? Well, this is the default setting. If you think, oh no, that's not something for me. Sorry guys, I want to be able to move the playhead. That's okay. You just come here and disable this bit, lock playhead. Then they say, okay, for people who really find it irritating, we're gonna do like this, and then your playhead, you can move it whether in the upper one, which is always, or in the lower one. And then what happens is that you're not scrolling through, you're just moving the playhead, okay? I leave that up to you. This one is purely a matter of personal preference, okay? So when you click on that, you lock it. I'm gonna lock it, keep it as by default, okay? Because that's how it comes. It doesn't mean you need to keep it like that. There's going to come a moment when you want to switch between one and the other. So you have them there. Cool. Now this is about the timelines. And what is this? You know, let me take you to the color page. If you are familiar with the color page, just to demonstrate something. If you go to the color page and I have the timeline, this is the timeline. See, these are just some, you will have some thumbnails, but this is the timeline. This is the representation of the timeline. It is not really something you can work with. It just tells you, well, here it is. You can look at it. Okay, well, obviously you can use the playhead and move, but you can't do anything with the timeline. This is a fully functional timeline. You can do anything with it. You can trim, you can cut, you can do anything you want. Okay? Let's come here and then trim. Let me add some more. Okay, to demonstrate this better, let me add some more clips because I only have one. And let me, yeah, for purposes of demonstrating some new functionality, let me just get the playhead somewhere here. The second clip, where is that? Let me just check. Where's my second clip? There's this one. Am I a bit closer here? Yeah, I'm a bit closer. Bit closer, and then the other one there. Cool. So this is my second source clip that I want to add. How do I do that? Well, simple. Let's say let's get in the habit of having an in point and out point. Good. Where is it? And then I bring. You can either bring it down or bring it here. See, this is fully functional timeline. Bring it here, drag and drop. Or now we can demonstrate the smart insert. Smart insert just tells you, okay. I know that in the edit page, if you wanted to bring that stuff and your playhead is not exactly in the edit point, it's going to, where is it? Is it this one? Yeah, it is going, if I bring it in, let's say insert, see what happens? It's going to cut it, put it literally in the playhead position regardless of the stuff. But when you are working on the assembly, you really want to go fast and you don't have time to start, yeah, let me position the playhead perfectly there. I know that the snapping helps, the snapping bit helps, but you know, it's an assembly. We need to go fast. So this is why Blackmagic Design said, well, listen, there's a smart insert here. We don't care where your playhead is. Well, as long as it's in a reasonable place. It's around the end, fine. It's going to know that this is the closest end. Closest edit point is this one. Click on this. Click Smart Insert. It added it at the end. It didn't cut the clip. Good. So this is how you start inserting things. I'm expecting you to be using this one for the assembly much more than this, obviously. The next one is the ripple override. Now, this one, let's say, for example, I want to change, instead of using this, I want to use this one, okay? So the second one here, I want to change it and use this one instead, a closer shot, okay? So what I can do is, well, I have the timeline here selected. I have the playhead here. When you have the playhead on a particular clip selected, then it deals with that clip. It knows that, oh, you want to ripple override that one. Okay, we'll take care of that. Don't worry about the playhead. We'll take care of that. That's what Davinci Resolve is telling you. So when you come here and you click on this, it is going to change that clip and bring in the new one. So delete the old one and bring in the new one. And obviously, it is going to adjust the duration of the timeline because the new one is longer. Now, the new one did not include, let me just undo this. The new one did not include any ins or out points. So just for fun, we're going to add some in and out points because we would like to keep that in mind. And then we do the ripple override, okay? Ripple override. So when you have your playhead on a particular clip, that clip is going to be impacted, removed, and replaced. When do you use this one? When you're delivering 1080p, for example, and you've shot 4K. And you've shot 4K knowing upfront that you're going to have a zoomed. This kind of encourages the lazy behavior of not really knowing your framing during filming. You want to nail the framing while you're filming, but still, should you choose to shoot 4K and deliver 1080p and use that possibility of zooming in during post, please don't have this as a habit because it really is a very bad habit. Do your framing during filming. Okay, let me close again the bracket. Should you need to do that, then this one is a quick zoom in. It's not really zoom in. It takes you. Let me show you. So this is now. Let me remove it. Remove this one. Okay. Let me bring it again. This is what we have. I'm gonna get this. So I'll have it at the first endpoint. Okay. First endpoint here. What I will do is click on this one. When I click on this, it gets zoomed in by half. So you click on this, and this is what you get in the timeline. In the timeline, if I now look at this, see the difference, it's zoomed in. Well, obviously, the framing is not something we have decided. This is why it's a bad habit to rely on this feature here. It is there for you should you want to reframe something. That should be an exception that happens once in so many years, but it's there for you. Okay, sometimes, yeah, but it's just a matter of professional best practices during filming. Okay, now that we have this one done, let's move to the next one. This place on top, it really does exactly what it says. Let me bring in this one just for fun. We're going to put it on top. And let's click place on top. Now, where is the playhead? The playhead is quite important. Yes, the cut page is not demanding a lot in terms of positioning. You need to have it in an accurate position. No, it's not demanding. But when you have it somewhere here in this place, it means you want the action to happen there. So when you say, I want to place this one on top, then it does come and place it on top, starting from where you have left the playhead. Okay, it doesn't ignore the playhead completely, but it does place it on top. It creates another track for the new clip that is placed on top. Simple. Now there's this one, which does almost the same thing with an added benefit. Now, source override is actually the wrong technical name. Source override is completely misleading. It doesn't do what it says it does. Let me put it like this. Let me rename it for you. This one is place on top with timecode. That's the right name. Place on top with timecode. It does not overwrite. It just, but for this one, you need to have shot with timecode. Say, for example, you have multiple angles. The same. Well, these are not with timecode, but let me give you just a flavor. Okay, just a flavor. let me just remove this timeline for now, because I need you to understand this, and go and create another timeline. I didn't have to. I could have created another timeline and opened that one. But yeah, these are not the same shots, obviously. These are not the same, it's not even the same aircrafts. It's different ones. But look at this. It's a landing. Okay, it's an aircraft that's landing. So, okay, landing. That's the same thing, landing. And that's the same thing from another angle, but then the aircrafts are different. Okay, I'm just demonstrating that this is a different aircraft than this one, than this one. Let's assume it is the same aircraft landing, and for, I think mostly in documentaries, you could do some of this in fiction films, but in documentaries mostly, you may want to cover it from different angles with different cameras, and you have a time code synced. So you have these things with time code. When you do that, then say you bring in the first one, okay, that's your first one. Then the second one, you come and click, this doesn't have time code, but this is what you would do. You come and click on the place on top with time code. You click on this. Now, if I do this, it's not going to fly. It just put it in the beginning. I said, okay, I can't find the time code, so it just dumped it placed on top. This is actually a very good demonstration that it was completely wrongly named. See, when it didn't find the time code, it just resorted back to place on top. It says place on top with time code, so there's no time code, it's just place on top. So this actually, in the absence of time code, is exactly the same as this. It doesn't overwrite anything. It places on top. It creates a new, let me show you, creates a new track. Good. So don't let this overwrite terminology here, this word here, confuse you. It doesn't overwrite anything. There are other ways of inserting media in the timeline. Let's say, for example, you want to replace a clip. Now, we've already seen that we can drag and drop immediately on top of this, but then you can do it from the monitor as well. But, okay, I'm just double click on this one. You can do it from the monitor as well, okay? However, there are two different behaviors that I would like to draw your attention to. When you drag and drop, and you just release it immediately, like drag, drop, and release, what happens is it changes. It replaces that clip, and it takes care of the timeline. I deliberately added another clip in here. This one, let me just undo this behavior. This one here, to show you that actually it has respected the clip. It didn't create any gaps, and it didn't eat up from another clip. It just replaced this clip. Nice. It's a shorter clip. The new one is shorter than the old one, so the timeline has been adjusted. However, if you want a different behavior, if you leave it, let me just undo this. This behavior was when you just dragged and dropped. What if you drag and wait a little bit before you drop? Then you notice now the timeline has been adjusted to tell you, okay, you actually want to insert it within that clip. If the new one that you're bringing in is shorter, then you get to decide where to do that, and then you can release. So these are two different behaviors with the same drag and drop. Here you have transitions. So these are the most commonly used transitions. Obviously, you have a full list in here that you can use. But what Blackmagic Design decided is, let's bring in the most commonly used ones in here so that these you can apply them. You can also come here and then use these buttons to apply exactly where you want them. Let's say we want to have one in here, so it's going to be applied to both. Or let's undo this, apply to only one part. This one does not have enough, okay? Does not have enough frames, so I've taken it from the last frame. There's no frame. This one possibly has something. Yes, it has. Okay, so when you have enough frames at the end, let me show you. This clip here does not have, if I click on this, let me show you. If I double click on this, you get green because this one has the green. But if I move this here, let me just bring this one up. Okay, and I try. This one does have enough space, so why is it that it doesn't give me? Here we go. Okay, it does work. So it gives you a transition at the end here, or when they are, just remove it. When they are next to each other, you can just decide to have it between the two, whatever. Okay, now, I did not want to cover the transition bit for a simple reason that, and I need to make this point, it is not, you don't use transitions more often than not, you don't use transitions for most projects actually. Look at feature films. Go ahead and watch any feature film. Go and watch any professional documentaries from respected channels. You are not going to find a single transition. Why? Because these transitions are kind of, for different types of projects. Maybe you're going to find something in a music clip. Maybe you can find something in a corporate video. Please, if you have to use a transition, use them sparingly. Yes, you could still end up with a transition in a feature film. If you have a dream scene, if you have a flashback scene, you could also have reasons for having transitions. But let's put it like this. If you don't have a reason for a transition, don't use one, please. Okay. The next bit is going to be to look at the timeline and how we can use these features in here, because we haven't looked at these. Okay. And then I'll come back to this one. Good. Okay. We have timelines. There's a timeline that has been created. What you can do is right click on the timeline and go to timeline settings. Now, these are grayed. Now you can change these settings anytime by saying, okay, use custom settings. You click use custom settings, then it enables everything. So you're able to change everything. That's what I meant. Then you get to change everything in here. This is not something it's something you can do, but it's not the right time to do it now. This kind of stuff happened much earlier. Okay, it's when you set up your project, you already actually have your first footage that you have cloned and you have brought in the media. Your Davinci Resolve 16 has told you the frame rate is different between these two. Would you like to have this stuff? Yes, and it sets your timeline based on the media that you brought. This is the quickest way and the most safe and secure way of doing it. Camera footage equals timeline. You're good, because camera footage should equal delivery to TV or delivery to theatrical release in cinema or wherever it should go, to your corporate client or whatever. Good. So this is not the right way to do it, but should you want to do it, it's possible to do it in here. Okay, let's cancel. Good. And you can create a new timeline we create it normally by adding things, and then Davinci Resolve creates it for us. Should you want to create new timeline, then you end up with this. Okay, use custom settings, then you get more stuff. But I recommend, don't waste your time creating timelines just like that. Let Davinci Resolve do it for you. We're in the cut page. It's fast. Good. All right. Now, this is about creating the timeline, and should you ever need to change the settings, that's how you do that. Nice. Let's look now at how we can work on the image in the timeline, because we're talking about editing. Yes, this is the cut for the assembly mostly, but you can already get some stuff done. Okay, some stuff done means you come here and you select any clip whatsoever. You want to have this one. Let me get this one, because I think I like, do I have a transition here? Oh my God, no, go away, no transitions. Okay, all right, so let me get this one, because it's going to help demonstrate a few things, because it's a wide shot, and it will help with a few of these. And now in here you have tools. Oh, you know what? Before we come to the tools, let me show you this one, because we've talked in the spirit of talking about the settings of the project and settings of the timeline. You click on this one and you say, oh yeah, I'm able to change from 1080p to portrait mode to square to what was it? To Ultra HD. Different stuff. I mean, depending if you have the paid version, is going to be more. But as we agreed, it's going to be working with the free version. So I'm showing you everything from the free version. You can change it. If I say, okay, let's do it portrait. If I do that, then it becomes like, if you want to have it for mobile delivery, like it's specifically for phone style framing thingy, then you do that, and then. Oh, okay. It's not the right time to do it, by the way. It's all the changes that impact the timeline. You will hear me say that. It's not the right time to do it. But we already know that your film that you shot, now there's an exception here. There are a few exceptions. I'll give you one. When you shot your film, say, for example, you have a trailer. or you want to create something in phone format, but that was shot in normal cinemascope thing or theatrical release stuff, or it's just normal 1080p or 4K stuff. It's just normal frame rate. Sorry, normal ratio, aspect ratio. It was shot this 4K or full HD, like this 1920 1080p, and then you want to have something, a version in the phone stuff. Then you can come here and say, okay, let's use the initial stuff that was shot normally and change it. That's how you can come down here. I'm jumping because that's the sequence of working. I mean, the sequence of the interface is boring. I have to go. I'll come back and show you this one and this one, okay? But let me show you the sequence of working. You've done this, then you come here and you click on this transform. Obviously, it's the first one that's already activated. You can disable or enable, and then you say, okay, let me just bring it up like this, and then now I can position it. And when I play this fellow, it's going to look fun on a phone, something like this. Okay, now this takes us to another point. Have you noticed the playback, how it's doing? The playback is lagging a little bit, yeah, and then you think, oh, Davinci Resolve is slow. No, Davinci Resolve is not slow. I am recording, putting a lot of pressure on the computer with the recording software, plus asking Davinci Resolve to decode an H.264. I'm using stock footage, which is H.264, so just to demonstrate the techniques. Because that decoding takes a lot of time. Compressed and encoded footage takes more time than raw, by the way, for any software. Then you see that the playback is actually lagging a little bit, and I think, what should I do? Well, because you are in the cut page, this is an absolutely wonderful opportunity to show you a feature that you should be using: playback, proxy mode, and activate half resolution or quarter resolution if you want. Activate half resolution, then this is going to drop half. You're not going to notice or even care, because you're building the assembly and you are going to play back at half, or if it's 4K, I recommend really going down to quarter resolution. Now this is going to be really, because initially it's 1080p, but we don't care because it's really small. So now you see it is almost smooth because I am still putting a lot of pressure on the recorder, on the computer with the recording software. And actually it's using the algorithm for the recording. I've pushed it too far that it's encoding at the same time as it's recording. So I'm a bit greedy. I'm asking too much from my computer. So yeah, this is how, when you're working only on the project, this is how you get it to play. Okay, now it's playing really fine. Now it's playing really fine. Even if it's an H.264 heavily compressed thing, it's playing fine. You can play with the settings in here. You can rotate things. You can do plenty of stuff. You can rotate. Whatever. It's there for you. I don't know when you're going to use this. We can move it up, downish. It's like I've done it with my cursor. I mean, it's faster. Okay. You could also do some sort of an illusion of 3D, which is like pushing it like this, and maybe pushing it to the right. It's not going to be that visible because I'm covering more of it. Let me just bring it back to bring it back to normal. Right, that's it, and then reset this whole story. This is to reset. And let's now play with this one. Yeah, you can do it like this. Okay, well, this is how you do it should you want to do it. This is not 3D. Don't confuse this with Fusion 3D workspace where you start adding cameras and stuff like this. This is just an illusion. It's just tricks, nothing else. Reset this, and I will come back to these once I cover. You can activate and deactivate. Okay, once I cover these bits. This one here is for the color space, color science. So you get to set the color space for your footage and for the output as well. I recommend you do not do it here, and you come to your project settings and you do it here under color management. Okay. Normally by default it starts master settings, you go to color management. It may appear to be much more convenient to do it here. Then you say, why should I go to the project settings? I've got it just here next to me. If I want to change to ACES, I can do it. Well, we've talked about ACES during the setup for Davinci Resolve 16, right? If you've missed that one, fine, you just need to go back and then revisit it. But let me tell you, there's still some stuff that needs to be done for the aces. Not just setting it up here, say, okay, I've chosen aces, good, we are now working in aces. That's not how it works, because this is just step one. The problem is that when they have prepared, I think, when they have prepared the cut page, they've put the color signs there, should you want to change your color space, but they did not really give you all the other steps in the cut page, because you need to, let's go back here, without really spending too much time on this, but just to show you, ACES IDT and ACES ODT, they need to be set up. No input transform, no output transform. There needs to be a choice, and it doesn't have to be here at the project level. For the IDT, it can be at clip level, in which case you're going to need to go back to the media. Why am I going back to the media tab? I have my media here, I can do it here. No, this is exactly the problem, is that Blackmagic has forgotten to add that in the menu. Here, when you right click, there is no ACES IDT. So I am operating in ACES, and I would like to decide where this, I'd like to provide the input, the IDT, well, basically telling Davinci Resolve which camera it came from. This is like in plain English. But I can't do it here. You can do it in the media tab. This is why, okay, let me just make it simpler here. Okay, you can do it in the media tab. You select generally a group of clips. You don't do it clip by clip. You're going to have hundreds. You right click and you find it here. It says input transform. You need to have this step. You need to tell Davinci Resolve where it's coming from. Okay, and you also need to tell Davinci Resolve where it is going. Output device transform. Well, obviously, you can leave it as is, but then if it's going for broadcast, you're going to have to turn to a Rec 709 at some point in time. Okay. If you are working, actually, while you're working on your monitor, which is Rec 709, if it is Rec 709, then you need to decide it's the Rec 709. This stuff is not in the code page. This is why I recommend, we thank Blackmagic for the nice gesture of providing us with step one, but we're going to need a few more steps, okay, which they have, I think, literally forgotten to add in here. So step number 2 is not in here. And should you even add step number 2, you're going to need to have step number 3. Otherwise, when you come to the deliver page or you want to export, you may forget to set up your ODT, your output format, okay? Well, enough talking about the ACES. This is just basically telling you, do not set it up here, please, because it's safer to set it up in the project settings tab. Good. Let me turn it back to YRGB. And let's move to this icon, which says bypass color grades and fusion effects. This is a handy feature should you want to have your playback run smoother. It does not delete the effects. It does not remove the color grades that you have made. Should you have made any color grades, it just simply disables them for a faster playback. That's all. Now we can move back to the tools and finish what we have started, which is going through these things. Crop, it does what it says. You crop, then you have the settings. Actually, yeah, you could do it by numbers if you want, but you know, I mean, you could just move the thing in here and whatever. Crop, I mean, you get the point. That's a crop. Okay, and then you can feather the crop in, okay? You can feather the crop in or out. Negative is in, positive is out. I mean, you could use this one for an intro or something, reset this stuff and then enable or disable the effect here. Cool. The next one is going to be the audio. Well, the audio bit, I'm going to show you here because this one hasn't got any audio. Let me go to someone that has an audio. I'm clicking, but it's not activating. Why? Because the clip doesn't have any audio. Let me check. Does anyone have any audio here? No, it's all stock footage. It's got something that's got an audio. It's Fighter Jet. This one's got an audio, right? This one has an audio. Yes, it does have an audio. So let me just quickly create a timeline here, drop it, and let's work on this. Oh, I've put it on the, oh no, I want a different timeline. So what I will do is I will close the current timeline. Yes, this is how you close timeline, file, close current timeline. Don't need to bother with new timeline. I'm just going to drag and drop this one here, and it's there for me. I'll just go to the one that has, oh, sorry, I need to disable this one. Okay, audio disabled. Sorry, I mean the playback on my computer so that it doesn't disrupt the recording. Nice. So this has audio. It does have audio, and we can see it in here on the right. Yes, there's good opportunity to show that we have actually these meters here, right? And obviously green is not very loud. Yellow is about to get loud, and red is very loud. And think, Yeah, that's obvious. Now that's not true actually, because the real the real reason for the greens and yellow and reds, we're going to talk about that during the Fairlight sound post-production. There's a reason for the green and yellow and red, and you want to know it. Okay, cool. We are going now to look at the sound parts. Sound part, well, quite simple. Do you want it lower or higher? So lower is going to be something like this. That's very low. It's really low. See, you are actually reducing the volume. It's like playing here with in the edit page. It's like playing here. Have you noticed, by the way, that's quite a nice opportunity to demonstrate this, but you know the audio part, can you see it? You can't see it. Actually, you can see it. If there is no audio, then the thumbnail occupies the full space. If there is audio, then you only find a waveform here, and both are in one clip. There is no, okay, add track. It adds a track. If it's an audio or video, it's irrelevant. It's going to be one clip. Okay, so this is audio video in one, because you're not supposed to be working on your audio now. This is a cut page. This is you're making an assembly. Okay, and anyway, the audio, even in the edit page, you're going to hear it multiple times until you get sick of me that you should not work even in your audio in the edit page, because there's a dedicated Fairlight page. The next is going to be the speed. If you want to play your clip at a higher speed or a lower speed, you can do that by setting it in here. So this is 1 as being the normal speed. If you want to make it faster, like say, for example, twice as fast, when you press, you notice that the timeline now it's taken less, obviously. Good. Okay, and if you make it longer, 0.5, then it's going to take twice as long. Good. Now, this is just one clip in the timeline. We would like to see how it behaves when it has a lot of clips in there. So is my timeline going to be messed up if I change the duration of one of the clips? Let's see. No, it will not, but let's see. Okay, let me come here and then say add this one in the beginning, smart insert, and click on this one and add it append. So it's going to be added at the end. Good. Now this one in the middle, which is at speed 1 now, this one is in the middle, the one that we're going to change. So what we will do is just go to 2, and then you notice that the timeline has been adjusted, not just the clip duration, but there is no gap. It hasn't left any gap. It's been taken care of. Should you want to go, say, for example, 0.5, it is going to get longer, and at the same time, it does maintain the other clip untouched. Let me prove this. Let me just go to 1 here. This here is from 3 seconds roughly to 13 seconds, which is exactly 10 seconds actually. 10 seconds. So should you want to do that at 2, it is going to become your 5. So from 3 to 8, let's check, that's your 8. And if it is your 0.5, it's going to be your 23. So from 3 to 23, because it's 10, 23. Good. And these are maintained untouched. 23 minus 7, so it is 5.5 seconds. And if we return it back to 1, this one is still your, so 13.3. I'm expecting this to be 4. Sorry, it was 4.5. It was 4.5. It's 4.5 again. Let me check. No, this is not true. 13.4. How long is this thing? This is, all right, that, not this one, this one. This is 4.1. Okay, 4.1. Sorry, my bad, my bad. 4.1 seconds. So whatever change you make to this one, I'm just actually demonstrating, proving that you can work with full confidence that your timeline is fully protected. There's no problem with that. So 8.3 is going to mean that if you add 4.1, you're going to end up with 12.4. So 12.4, there you go. Good, got the math right now. Okay, cool. So this is your speed. Let's go back to number 1 and let's move to the next bit, which is the camera. The camera has got, let me go back, close. Okay, this is how you find it when you first open it. Camera, you got stabilizer and lens correction. Basically it's telling you, well, actually it's 2 in 1. We're going to start with the lens correction, just telling you that it actually is part of the paid version, so we're not going to cover it because the agreement is that we're going to look at the free version, right? Okay, lens correction is kind of, I wouldn't call it an advanced feature, but it's a feature that you're going to need when you are trying to, well, for several reasons. One of them is when you are trying to composite 3D with live action, and there is some camera lens distortion in the camera that you are using in live action, but because the render doesn't have that, so you need to get that distortion applied to the render so they look like they have been shot all together, but it's just fake because it's a 3D render. So you are also mimicking the lens distortion in the 3D render. That's one of the reasons why we use it. You can click on here, analyze the footage. It does analyze, but then it tells you, you have just stepped into paid ground. Okay, now you can distort this fellow or whatever, but that's the paid version and you're not going to be able to use it. But this is here for you should you want to move to that paid version. The stabilizer is, however, free of charge. So we're going to make good use of it. Let me get something that is shaky. I've got here a footage stabilizer. Okay, I've prepared this one already. Nice. Stabilizer. Let me close this timeline and create a new one. Close current timeline. And then let's work on this one. Create a new timeline. Append. Good. Okay, now this one has, you notice the yellow color. And that's a good opportunity to show you actually that you can change the clip color. And it's not just a matter of you can, but I think you should. Why? Because it's an assembly, and this is where it starts pointing, oh, this guy needs VFX. This guy needs stabilization. This guy needs that. Although there is a school of thought that is that says that you should bulldozer through those video clips and do it as you get it. You don't leave it till another time. So it needs stabilization, stabilize it and move on during assembly. That's a school of thought, but you could still mark them and with the color. Okay, good. Now let's go back to our stabilization story. So what I have is a shaky. Oh, this is an opportunity to show you another feature. How can I demonstrate? How can I see the shaky footage if I'm looking at this small monitor? I need to see the full view. What is generally in plain English called full screen, what Davinci Resolve called Cinema Previewer, whatever you want to call it. Just come here. Okay, you're going to need to use the shortcut, but I need to show you where it is. Viewer mode, and then Cinema Viewer, and then P. Use P, or actually, I just use Control F. So Control F in Windows, or you can use P as well. I'm just checking. Yeah, P is working as well. Fine. Good. Okay, now I can show you that this thing is actually quite shaky. Not a lot, but enough shaky to work on. So there you go. You're going to notice that actually, yeah, this shakiness is really not good. Like, this is the kind of footage you don't want. You don't want this shakiness to end up in your final delivery. Definitely not. So this is something we would like to work on. How do we do that? With the free version, obviously. Let me take you Control F or P. And then we come back here, and then you go to Stabilizer, click on Stabilizer. Well, what do we have in Stabilizer? A few options here. Let me explain to you. Davinci Resolve has 3 stabilizers. It's got the perspective, similarity, and translation. You think, what's the difference? You don't care what's the difference. All you care about is that you've got 3 different algorithms. You work with one. Does it work? Yes. Good. Doesn't work? Let's try the second one. These are 3 different algorithms. Okay, one is based on perspective. Why did they put the default as perspective? Because that's the one that works most of the time. So this is the one we're going to work with. Good. Now that we have this one sorted, let's move to the next. What is this whole story? Why should I not go and click on Stabilize? Because you can go and click on Stabilize. However, let's talk about, what do you want to do? Is this supposed to be a tripod shot? You want to sell the idea that this is a tripod shot? Do you know what a tripod shot is? It's rock solid, does not move. In that case, you come here and you click on camera lock, meaning probably it would have been better to rename it as tripod shot or something, but okay, we get the idea when they say camera lock. When you click on this, what it does is, oh, they've graded all of these parameters. I can't use them. Why is it that I can't use them? I want to use. No, you've already made up your mind. You said it's a rock solid thing. Let us do our work. You're not going to tell me 0.2 here and 0.6 here. You already said it's a tripod shot. Good, let's do it. We're going to stabilize it. Okay, analyze then. It's going to analyze. So every time you make a change in the parameters here, you need to click on stabilize. It's going to analyze the footage and give you, let's see what it's going to give you. I think Davinci Resolve with this perspective algorithm is doing really good job. Okay, stabilize. What happened? What happened? If you don't know what happened, go back a few seconds in the recording and then see what happened. It has cropped and it has zoomed a little bit in. That's the nature of stabilization. You need to live with that. If you know it during filming, basically create some room in the framing. That's all I'm trying to say. So because that room, you're going to need it to cut it. You're going to cut that bit because that's what you're going to offer. That's the price you pay for stabilization. You pay from the borders here. Okay, so you need to give up some of the stuff. That's what happened. So now let's go back and look at this absolutely wonderful, rock solid, stable shot. It's doing a good job. Now, obviously, what you see in here may appear to be shakiness, but it is not. It is very hot, and you know what the further places in a hot place look like. So it's just like in the Sahara Desert, you know, there's movements. If you want to know if it's real or not, replay it, and look at the, because if there's shakiness here, you're going to find shakiness here as well. The tank is in here as well. So you will find it here, but it's not shakiness. This is just the heat. Cool. It really is rock solid. Good. This is how you stabilize your footage with the tripod version. Meaning, yeah, it's a quick, really quick one. It works perfectly. If this is what you want to go for every time, please do it. Don't bother with these parameters. But I have to explain to you these parameters because you may need something slightly different. You may have made a mistake during filming that you didn't give enough room. You didn't prepare the price for the stabilizer. So the stabilizer is going to get angry and it's going to start eating up from the frame you want to show. So let's disable this and start working on this stuff. This is the cropping ratio. This is the smoothness, and this is the strength. And then you think, yeah, I can read that for myself. Well, what does that really mean? Now, please pay close attention to this cropping ratio because it is counterintuitive. If you increase it, you think you're going to crop more. Actually, not. You're cropping less. So if you bring it down, you crop in more. So this actually is, you're preparing the price for stabilization. They are all converted into how much do you crop. You can ask for smoothness, but it is going to be converted in a different currency, which is cropping currency. Okay, let me show you bit by bit, one by one. So this is, let's go back to the first frame so that we have a reference frame. This is reference frame. So we've got enough distance between these two now, between the frame and then this guy. Nice. Let me make sure I have nothing. I've reset all the parameters. And by default, it comes at 0.5 because it's somewhere between the minimum 0.25 and 1. Let's go up. Up means it's going to give us the impression actually we're going to crop a lot. It's not. It's going to crop less. And let's stabilize. Notice, okay, hardly any change because you said, well, I don't want to pay for my stabilization. So, okay, fine, you don't want to pay for stabilization, no problem. Let's look at this. Oh, let me just disable the sound again. It is still shaky. It has done some work, but it is, see, it is quite shaky. So what you have just said is, yeah, I want to stabilize it, but I don't want to crop. That's doesn't make any sense. Like you want to buy a car and don't want to pay for it. No, you have to pay for it. Okay, so payment is cropping. So 1 means I don't want to crop. It's counterintuitive. I wish they had it the other way around so that people don't get confused. Let's now bring it all the way down, which is 0.25, whatever number that is. Like it just says, yeah, crop maximum cropping according to this algorithm. Okay, let's stabilize again. Every time you change a parameter, you need to click stabilize. All right, it's stabilized. Now let's go back here, and you notice, I'll just reset and stabilize. 0.25, stabilize. You notice that there's gonna be some crop in here. There you go. Okay, you've seen it. That's the cropping. So we're using the maximum cropping that is needed for what? For what? For this level of smoothness. This algorithm takes 1, 2, 3 parameters. So for this level of smoothness, but we haven't talked about the smoothness. Yes, okay. Let's talk about the smoothness. Smoothness is, I really want a very smooth, if there are any movements whatsoever, we want them to be so smooth and stuff. Okay, so you want to pay more. Every time you have a wish in stabilization, you get to pay more from your cropping ratio. Okay, so this smoothness can be 0.25. It can't be 0 because it would be jaggy. So, or 1. 1 is I want this. This one is not counterintuitive. This one is real. So 1 means really smooth. If I have changed this one, I said crop maximum. Go ahead, don't bother with stuff, crop the maximum. And then here I say I want the maximum smoothness. Then you will notice when I click on stabilize, it's going to be eating up a bit more. There you go. This is a little more gritty cropping. Okay, but you get a very smooth footage. Let's try the other way. Stabilize. See, it doesn't really do something very quick. So I need to reset and stabilize. Yes, it's taken some time, analyze, but I need to demonstrate this this thing. You want to understand this so you know exactly what these 3 things do. Now the third one, we're going to explain this third one later, or I can do it already now, still analyzing. This is how much of the effect you want to apply. I want to apply 100%. So yeah, okay. So this is the cropping now applied with 0.25 smoothness, which is, it's not much in the cropping. The smoother, the more you crop in, okay? And this is the less, the more you crop in. What's this story? Well, where does it go? Let's start with where does it go. This one goes all the way to -1. So -1, you're saying, I don't want any stabilization. 1 is have the full effect. You may say, okay, with these parameters that are a bit greedy, you know what, they're cropping too much. I just want half of the effect, okay? Half of the 0.5. And you click on stabilize. Okay, you reset, better reset and click on stabilize. And you get just by how much you apply the effect. Good. Okay, so this is your stabilization. Nice. Let's now reset this fellow and close this. And let's go up to this one. Yeah, I think you can use the same footage. Fine, so use the same footage. Dynamic zoom. This is your dynamic zoom. What is this? Use it sparingly, please, because, I mean, transitions, we've talked about that. Use sparingly. Dynamic zoom, you can use it. You can use that stuff, but there are very little types of projects where you can use this stuff. Because if you are going to have a movement of a camera from one area to a broader, bigger frame, covering more, then that's something you do during filming with lenses and stuff. Yes, I know it feels a bit expensive, but you don't do that during post-production, right? Should you want to do that, you can do it here. Okay, so this is dynamic zoom in, and you have the red and the green. Green is just like the starting point, red is the end point. And you get to, oh, by the way, it's the only one that is by default grayed. If you go to each one of these, you find that they are all active. Oh, I haven't changed this one, so it's not. So yeah, all these you can find them by default active. This one is by default deactivated because you get to set it manually yourself and then be responsible for it happening. It's good that they don't have it. Okay, so what I've done is just I'm clicking anywhere in the middle of this one, and then starting point is here. Let's say I'm starting on this fellow here. And we're assuming that you are, say, shooting, your delivery is 1080p, and you're shooting 4K, 5K with the red camera or whatever. Well, if you're shooting with the red, then you should take care of that during filming. In which case, this should be okay for 1080p. Like you still get very good quality. Then if this is 5K, okay, good. So what does that mean? Well, the clip is going to start here when I press play, and it's slowly going to zoom out till it shows the other soldiers marching. Okay, let's do that, shall we? Shall we do it with full frame? Yeah, let's do it with full. When I click, then this is how it starts. Exactly. So you get the point. It's just a matter of you can use this during documentaries. I think it could be quite handy. If you didn't think of it there and then, you shot the full the full thing, and then during post-production you think, well, it's going to be much fun, much more aesthetically pleasing if we do something like this. Like you start with somebody and then show put him or her in full in context. Well, there are instances where you use it, but please use it sparingly. Then you get also, well, is it the opposite? Is it like starts and this is reset? This is moving left to right, and this is up to down. You know, it's just a few presets ready for you. Instead of you moving them yourself and resizing them, this is what's going to happen. So it's starting from here and going down. We don't need to do it. It's a full frame, a full cinema view here. Okay, so it's going down. It's just the motion is quite clear actually. You don't need to spend too much time on this. And this is left to right, and that's going to be obvious as well. So just left to right. It's a slight illusion of it's not really an illusion. It's a little bit of. I didn't do the stabilization, by the way, because I didn't want the computer to work too much, so I left it shaky. It's just if you want a kind of a dolly effect, it could work. Okay, could work. Now these are tips and tricks that you could have already in the cut page, but you need to open this fellow for that, the tools. Good. The last bit. Well, okay, now same story is going to apply. Okay, if you do this, it basically is going to be inverting it. So if I come here, it's going to invert. Start up, start big and go small, or start small and go big. These are quite simple. And this is the motion. Is it going to be steady all the time? Is it increasing? Is it starting slow and then going up and then slowing down? Or I mean, this you choose the motion that you want. Good. Use please very sparingly. This last one over here, I can demonstrate. Let me show you. I can demonstrate with another timeline. Let's go on timeline. Let's go to the. Let's go to this one. Yeah, timeline here. Okay. I'm gonna need to put something on top of another, like this, and this is an opportunity to show you some more maneuvers, some more movements, because I can bring something and just select here, and it's going to be dropped. Okay, so you are just moving it around and drop. You can do that. Okay, now why am I talking about this? Because I just realized that I need to put something on top of another, and I can do it like this. We have these on top of each other. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever in the story, but we just want to demonstrate this bit where we have what? Composite. This composite is basically you are going to have this one on top of this. So how do you want it? Just like the Photoshop story where you have the layers. Is it color? Is it color burn? You know, the Photoshop thing, darken. I don't know when you're going to use this stuff. Sorry, it's just because we work on feature films and we work on fiction films and stuff. We specialize in these kind of things. We don't do this stuff. We don't do this stuff. You could, however, find a situation where you have stuff mixed, right? We're not talking about compositing as in fusion compositing. That's a different thing. And you wouldn't use this thing in here. That's a different professional workflow. and you would use it with matte painting, you would use it with green screen keying, blue screen keying and stuff. But should you have a creative idea for this stuff in here, well, you have it, okay? I think you are most often than not going to be using, or in the beginning, nothing, because you're doing an assembly, and then probably some stabilization. Hopefully, okay. So it happens during filming that you need stabilization. Some speed thingy, I would recommend, I'm talking from a professional perspective now, I really would recommend you don't need it, because if you are shooting something slow motion, then you have already set it in the camera. Then you've already chosen the right camera for that, that has the right number of frames per second, and you've shot it as such. Please, everything, front load everything. All your creative decisions, have them front loaded in the filming stage. But you could still do it here if you want to change your mind. We know that in the cut page, the audio is part of the clip in the track, so it is not a separate one. But what if I want to have a separate audio track, like I want to import a music file? Well, number one, working on audio happens in the Fairlight page. If you want to do some tweaking and stuff, it can be done at the edit page. You can import some stuff. But if you feel the need to bring something that you already know is a crucial part of the delivery, you already know that music file, then fine, you can do it in the cut page. And it should actually be done through the media page. Yes, I know, resist the temptation of using these two fellows here, because we need to go to the media page and do it properly. So put it in the right folder. This is audio. I'm going to take my files or file. This is WAV, this is MP3. What do you think? MP3, we never use it, always WAV, okay? I just put a second one here to talk about MP3, never using it. So I import it here. This is under my audio file. I come to my cut page and I can double click in here, or for fun, I can come here and then go to audio. And there you go, selected. Here we go. Now I have this. Generally, a music file is going to be on a separate track, obviously, because video is video and audio is audio. So we're going to be talking about creating another track. We're in the cut page. We don't do that stuff, right? So everything is done for us. In the cut page, most things are done for us. So timelines created for you. Tracks are created for you. So music, so how do I get it in? Do I drag and drop? I recommend you simply place the playhead where you want it to be. It doesn't have to be very precise, but place it where you want it to be. And then go to a place on top. Now I think, wait, we're not used to music on top of the video. What are you talking about? It's okay, it's okay. Davinci knows what you mean. When you click on place on top, it places it at the bottom. It's, oh, that's a music video. Fine, okay, I'm gonna put it, you want it on a different track, right? We're bringing it down. So this is how you do it. Should you want to, obviously, because this is too big, you can start, oh, again, turn off the sound. Okay, then you can click on this fellow and then trim it, and then all sorts of things that you would like to do. Okay. Yeah, just bringing it something like this. Okay, and this takes us to the concept of snapping, because once you do this, you want it to snap. When I do like this, you notice this white line. Well, this is a behavior by default that you need almost all the time, but not always. There are instances when you want to turn off the snapping, and that's something you do here. This is your snapping, turn on, off. Good? Okay, now we did not create the track, it was created for us. Let's say, no, I want to do it myself. Okay, you want to do it yourself, you click in here, and that creates a new track. There it is, number 3, a new one, number 4, new one, number 5. Okay, let me undo these ones. Good. So this is for creating the track. The next bit is going to be using the titles. So let's bring in some titles. Let me come here and, oh, this still has the compositing effect. Okay. Let me, compositive, yeah, this one needs to be, what's this? Normal, nothing. Okay, good. That's it, close. All right. We will bring in some text. So how do we do that? Simple. You just come here and bring in the text that you want. And you know the difference between these texts. So this is like just normal text, Davinci text that ships standard. And this is kind of the fusion style effect. Okay, so let's bring in the normal one. and drag and drop, and magic is going to happen, as in a new track is created for your text. Good. And there's the title. Okay, so hold on a moment. How do I edit this stuff? I double click, nothing happens. I double click here, nothing happens. No, we go to the tools, because once you bring in this one is added. It wasn't there, right? It wasn't there when you click in here. It wasn't there because it's not a title. When you click on this one, you get the title. Click on the title. All it tells you is open inspector. It's like, okay, you want to work with it, open the inspector, and then you get this lovely thing in here, which generally tends to be here in the edit tab. You go to the edit tab, you'll find that this is the inspector. When you have your title, where's my title? Somewhere up here. Click on the title, inspector, this is it. So it's just kind of hiding it there and with a T. Okay, let's go to the cut page. Again, I'm using these edit comparisons with edit page if you've already used edit before and you want to place cut in your workflow. Okay, so this is your open inspector, and there you get to write whatever you launch, as if it was not clear. It's a launch anyway. Well, this is obvious. Okay, so there are things I will explain. There are things I really think by explaining them I may be going far beyond the scope of explanation, because this is how to deal with text, size, tracking, line spacing stuff. These things are just, you know, text, how to deal with text. Do you want a shadow? Do you want strokes? Do you want to have a background? Oh, the one thing I can mention for this one, for the background, you click background. Yeah, I want to have a background and I want it to be reddish and whatever. And then you think, oh, where's my background? You promise you're going to give me a background. Yeah, it's just the height. It starts as a as height 0. So this is the only bit you want to pay attention to. This is the height. It's the only bit. The rest is something pure text. So if you know how to work with text, that's your stuff. Good. We close it and we leave it there for now. Okay, so the next piece is going to be that we can enable and disable stuff. So let's say, for example, yeah, whatever, I don't want to enable this text bit. It's quite simple. Right click and say disable, or right click and say enable. Good. If that could happen at the track level, you disable the whole track. All right, so by disabling this, we're bypassing this launch bit and we look at the text and we look at the one beneath. Because this is for disabling. Obviously, this is for sound if you want to mute the track, if it has audio, and if you want to lock the track. Nice? Good. Okay. One bit that is really, really, really nice is this. When you work here, what you've noticed, I've already disabled this bit here, and I'm also working with my playhead, so you can guess which one I prefer. Let me come here. I'm going to right-click on this playhead down here, not up here. This is not working. It's working here. You right-click, you can cut. Select it, then you cut. Good. Cut. There's another thing. If you can right-click and say split. Okay. When you do split, then you have the same effect as right-click and cut. Okay. So this is if you want to make a quick cut. So just right-click and then split. All right. Now, what does this mean on the right and on the left? This is beautiful because if you have your if you've got something selected like this, and then you want to select everything to the right, you click on this. And you can see that whatever is being impacted by the playhead, so the playhead crosses these ones, select them, and everything to the right, all of this. If I right-click, it's already right-click, and do the left, then it's going to do the opposite. So this can come in handy to select to make differences between stages. Like this bit is going to be visual effects. I know that this part is okay. These three need visual effects. So what I'm going to do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of this needs visual effects. I'm just saying something. Right click and then do like this, and then right click and then go to clip color and give it, I don't know, something like this, and there you go. So it's a quick way to select multiple clips depending on where they are in the timeline. Good, that was one. You can always come and right click and go to the clip attributes. Clip attributes, so these one are going to tell you the audio, the time code, I mean, all the information if you want, if you need, should you need it. okay? Especially if you are working with different footage in terms of your own production stuff, footage that's coming from your recordings from the camera, and stock footage. And then you think, yeah, we brought that fellow, but we feel that this one, we're working at 24 frames per second, but this one is 29. Hold on a moment. Yeah, that is a 29. We need to do something about that. Cool. So this is one thing. And then there are movements, like moving, and edits. Like this bit is quite clear. So when this is trimming, and it's quite clear what happens, like you are trimming both at the same time, expanding one and reducing one. And once you click on this, it gives you the color. Green means you have room to maneuver. You have enough frames to move, because I've cut this one so it has the full thing. Let me try to find your red. Yeah, this is red, meaning this is the end of the frame for this one, end of the frame for this one. We unfortunately can't give you more frames because that's what's in the video. But you could still use like this. When you reduce, it goes in. Okay, same story is going to happen if you come to the right here when you reduce. Okay, sorry, this one is going to come. Yeah, because initially the timeline is such that it's going to bring the other one forward. We're reducing this one. Okay, and anytime, the beauty is that anytime you get the what's included in the first, what's excluded from the second, what's included in the second, and then you've got the last frame of the first and the first frame of the last, and you can ignore all of this bit. I mean, of course, you can come and work here. Absolutely. Where are we? Yeah, here. You can absolutely come and work here, but you can also come and work here. You move in just one, or just this one, or guess what? Let's move both of them together. And this is the accuracy frame by frame. You can do that in the cut page, in the fast cut page, if you want to work, if you want to do some quick, it's not really advanced editing, but it's like precise editing. Okay, good. This is one. There's another one I wanted to show you, which is this fellow here. When you hover over a clip, you don't even need to select it. There is this bit here which helps you to, let me show you. I need to show you with the footage that makes sense, that is obvious, like dead obvious. Let me remove this one, disable this fellow, and probably work, yeah, let's work with this small launch. I'm going to work with this small launch, okay? See, I'm working, this is where you work on, this is your real timeline. This is just like the zoomed in one. Okay, you can come and work here if you want. Nice. So what have I done? I know when I click here, see when I click, this rectangle, the white rectangular form, is showing me the real footage. I'm only using part of it. This is the reason why I want this. Let me move it like this. And let's see. This fellow here is for slipping. So I'm moving. I'm not trimming. This is the starting point. This is the end point. But I'm changing the frame at which you start. It's like you don't do it here. You got to come to the middle. You know, you got this zero thing here. That's where you click, and then you start moving. Then you can see up in here. You've got 2 frames for the beginning and the end, and you've got 2 frames for the in points where they cut the other one and the out points. This gives you ample information. This is beautiful. Okay, so you can do all of this in the cut page as well. Once you finish your assembly, or even before, and you want to preview your timeline, say you've done just part of it, you can do that. And we're going to use exactly the same technique as we've done for the source tape. Remember that source tape when you click on this? And it gives you the full, all the clips that you have in your folder, in the media pool, the selected folder, and it plays the longer ones faster. We're going to do the same thing. However, now we do it with the timeline. So you get the timeline selected. And if you are working on the timeline, it's going to be selected by default. All you need to do is basically go back to the beginning of your timeline and then press on fast preview. What it's going to do is exactly the same thing. It's not just going to play it. You can play but that means it will play at the normal speed. If you just want to have a preview, you go with this fast preview, okay? Then it's going to play your timeline, playing the short clips at the normal speed and the longer ones at a faster speed. Exactly the same behavior as it was the case for the source tape. Whether you have finished your assembly and you want to export it for review within a team, or you have simply finished the whole project and you want to export it because it was a fast turnaround and you wanted to do everything in the cut page, you're now ready to export. You can do it from the cut page. You do not need to go to the deliver page. In the cut page, up here, you will find an icon at the top on the right that says Quick Export. When you click on it, you get indeed a dialog box that looks pretty much like a quick export. Hardly any settings to change because you have presets. You just say, okay, is it going to be H.264, YouTube, or Vimeo? Obviously, the choice of presets has been carefully chosen so that because they know it's something for quick turnaround. But if you want to have your own preset in there as well, you could do that, but that is going to be part of the deliver page. This concludes the full tour of the features of the cut page. Please make sure you have it as part of your workflow all the time in any project. The cut page has been a great addition to the already rich Davinci Resolve.